Hi there, you're listening to the Guitar Speak podcast, produced here in Sydney, Australia. My name's Matt Wakeling. Thank you so much for joining me. Now today we're doing things a little bit differently. We've got our old friend Peter Northcote to answer a couple of listener questions. Now Peter is pretty much the most recorded guitarist in Australian history. Fantastic player and super busy, super hardworking, and we get some great tips from the man himself. Now, we interviewed Peter back in episode number 7, and that's a great interview too. I encourage you to dig back and check that out if you've not heard it already. But it was great to have Peter back. We also have in replay an interview with Charles Cilia of Cilia Guitars and Michael Dolce, fantastic guitarist. Now, this was an interview we did after a masterclass that Michael did at the Cilia Guitars factory. And it was really, really cool. Now, Michael's got another masterclass there on May the 24th, 2017, coming up soon. If you've not seen one of these classes, I highly recommend it as someone who's been to one myself. All right, but now on to Peter Northcote and answering our listener questions. Over to you, Pete.
Oh, g'day folks, this is Pete Northcote here. Matt Wakeling from Guitar Speak Podcast has asked me to answer a couple of your questions. One of the questions was, you do a lot of Peter Northcote Presents gigs. What are the advantages / disadvantages of running your own gigs rather than a basic sideman gig? Well, look, I do both. I love doing both, and I love putting on my own shows because it allows me to play the songs that I want, to do my own thing. One of the big shows that I've put on is the Peter Northcote Presents the music of Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Pink Floyd, and Black Sabbath, and that's coming up again at the moment. It's a lot of work. There are a lot of disadvantages, but I don't seem to let them get in my way. I mean, there's a lot of... I do charts for everything. I set up I do the posters myself. I do the booking, the getting the sound guys, the lights, everything myself. And it allows me to kind of cut back on costs that having somebody else would do for twice the price. So my overheads aren't really that big. My overheads are really just paying the band and paying the venue and paying the lighting guy and the sound guy. So it's a great thing to do, and it's great to be in charge of something like this because the buck stops with me, and it's my desire to make sure that it runs smoothly. And it also gives me a chance to do my own arrangements of things and open them up to the way that I want to play them. So some of those bands, some of those tunes I grew up listening to, and now I can play them the way I want to. Of course, there's certain things you have to play exactly the right way, and that's fun too, but it's really more about me opening up as a player and giving myself some leeway to play what I want to do. It's a lot of, as I say, there's a lot of stress and a lot of drawbacks, but I never let that stuff get in my way. I just keep doing and doing and doing because I love playing, and I love just working with great people, great musicians. And I don't do so much of the learning the repertoire and playing things note for note anymore, which is great for me. As much as I loved to do it all my life, now I'm just free where I can roll up and play anything with a lot of players. There's a lot of songs that I've learnt, so there's many in my brain, in my back catalogue, so it's really great fun to open up. Look, the other question here is how much work do you do on your own guitars? At what stage do you get a luthier involved? Well, I do mostly everything on my guitars myself, and I've got about 72 of them at the last count. So I do everything up to changing frets, all the neck setups, all that sort of electronics. I do most electronics myself. There are certain things that I can't do, complicated pot systems and all that. I could do it, but you know what? My brain is happy to let somebody else do it. So, but as far as setting up, I do all my own setups, and I actually have people come along with guitars, and I work on them for them and set them up. I mean, as I say, with 72 guitars, I know what a guitar should feel like, at least for me. So yeah, I really love getting getting the towel out on the lounge room table and getting the guitars up and the power tools and the graphite powder and all that sort of stuff. I really enjoy it. So it's not only beneficial and financially feasible, it's also a passion of mine. I've always worked on my guitars. Guitars are great pieces of wood, and they are simple science, and I love that. It's much like a lot of what I do with my cooking and my music is that I'm creating on the spot. I don't really have a plan. Like with the guitars, if I see a guitar's got a bent neck, I'll try and straighten it. If it doesn't straighten the first day, then I'll try it again the second day, and blah, blah, blah. Try and get rid of the buzzers on certain things. Like I say, I'm not going to try and refret guitars. I'm not going to try and fix holes in guitars. I've got guitars that are player guitars. They're beaten up, and that's what really helps me, is that I don't have to worry about cosmetic blemishes on guitars anymore. I'm happy to belt them up, and I'm happy to just use them and make sure they work. So there you go. I hope that answers some of your questions. Remember, you can always contact me on Facebook or via email, or you can knock me over in the middle of the street. I don't care. A big shout out to Matt Wakeling from Guitar Speak Podcast. This is your 1 year anniversary, and congratulations, pal. 4,000 downloads a month. You're rocking. Goodbye, folks. I'll Guitar Speak to you soon.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Peter Northcote. I loved hearing those answers. Very inspiring. Very inspiring how to book your own gigs, setting up your own guitars. I've played a couple of Peter's guitars, and they are super cool to play, super well done. And it's good. Very good. All right, now coming up to an interview with Charles and Michael in replay. But before we get there, here's a quick word from our friends from Baltimore in the States, Mick and Jeff from the Amps and Axes podcast.
Hey, podcast world, I'm Jeff Bober.
And I'm Mick Marcelino of Amps and Axes.
That's right, and we've got a cool podcast that talks with guitarists,
manufacturers,
engineers,
and techs.
Yeah, so check us out every Saturday on iTunes
and Google Play.
That's right.
And as we're always saying,
onward.
This is a good one today. This is really interesting. Long-time listeners, or maybe you've dug back through, you would know that Michael Dolce was our very first guest on the podcast. Fantastic guitar player. Has played on heaps of sessions, toured with heaps of big-name artists in Australia like Delta Goodrum, amongst many, many others. He's been the house guitarist on The Voice Australia, the television show, for the last 5 seasons, plus a bunch of other TV stuff as well. Fantastic guitar player. Excellent bloke. We got invited to, his masterclass, which he mentioned in our original interview. So just to go to the masterclass was unreal. Man, I learnt so much and came out of this so inspired. The other great thing about the masterclass is that it took place in the showroom of Charles Cilia Guitars. Now, Charles builds fantastic guitars. He builds the Michael Dolce model, plus many, many other models. And man, that was awesome for me. Charles I met him years ago, just really briefly, but he did some repairs on one of my guitars, very, very routine. And back then he was working out of his garage. But even then he was just churning out these fantastic guitars, just works of art. I tell you got to check out his site. But for quite a while he's been working out of his own workshop in his own dedicated premises now. So I was really excited for Charles and really excited to see his place as well, which is just unreal. So, man, between those two things, it was great. So, what you're going to hear today, it's a little bit of a different kind of a format for us today. The show starts off, I get to talk to some of the guys who are sitting in on the clinic with me, and we just talked about, what the clinic was like, just a few minutes with each guy, what they got out of it, and a little bit about their background. There was even another guitar builder in the class, David, so that was cool to talk with him. Then we have an interview with Charles and Michael, which was really cool. So the builder and the artist, and that was cool. And these guys have got got a big weekend up. The Melbourne Guitar Show is coming up this weekend, August 6th and 7th. Man, if you're in Melbourne, get to it. It looks like it's going to be unreal. So Cilia Guitars is there, Michael Dolce's down there, and Michael's running some masterclasses down there in Melbourne as well. So you'll find out a little bit more about that as the podcast goes on. So hey, sit back, enjoy, and here we go, the Michael Dolce Charles Cilia episode. Hey, by the way, you're going to hear some great guitar playing under my first bunch of interviews. That's Michael Dolce from his album Everything Till Now. Anyway, first up, here's David, who I met at the masterclass.
David Birch.
Excellent. And how did you enjoy the clinic today?
Oh, it was excellent. It was really informative. I'd like to actually sit down with Michael and spend a bit more time one-on-one with him to understand the lines completely. Like, I got a gist of what he was doing, but it was just difficult because, he plays, it's second nature to him to play those lines, and I'm sure most players, when you get to that stage, you go, everyone will pick that up, I think. But you just play it thinking, these guys just play it thinking, everyone will be fine, but I'd like to spend more time with him and get an idea of what he's doing on a sort of much smaller scale and understand his lines. Like, I sort of understand it, but not really. Like, that's what I mean. But other than that, it's excellent. He's the most approachable guy,
Absolutely, yeah. Very inspiring.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And how about you? Sound great giving a jam.
Thank you. I grew up playing classical guitar. I was trained as a classical guitar player for many years, and then I started doing the whole rock thing because I was tired of doing all the reading of the dots on the page. That just gets a bit mundane,
Yeah.
And so, but I've always been into rock as a kid, and I still love doing all that sort of stuff. And then I started playing all that sort of stuff, all the Satriani and Steve Vai, like everyone does, everyone goes to that cycle of stuff. And so, but at the same time, I was listening to Alan Holdsworth. He's like, his streets are way away where I should have been listening to. I should have been listening to players that were different to him, Like, I enjoyed it, but it was difficult listening to. So yeah, that's where I've come from, So it's that's the next. My journey is still, I'm miles away from where I want to be. Like every other player, you think, I'd really like to play like Michael. Like, that's just phenomenal playing. Those lines. I think, heaven's sake, he's so melodic and yet so angular at the same time. It's just a combination of everything, and that's the phenomenal thing about what he does. I just go, far out, that guy's incredibly decent, Over one chord he can do so much.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Awesome, cool. Well, thanks, Dave.
Oh, my pleasure. No,
nice to meet you too.
Yeah, likewise. All right, take care.
Yeah, you too. So I'm here with Brandon, also from the clinic. Now, is this your second?
This is my second clinic, yeah.
So you're a serious...
Yeah, I got so much out of the first one. I wanted to come back and pick his brain a little more, try and get a couple more ideas. I've started experimenting now with the hybrid picking technique. I've sort of over the years come to realise that my picking technique is pretty atrocious. So I'm experimenting with legato and this hybrid picking thing, and I seem to have sort of taken to it quite quickly. When I saw he was doing another clinic, I thought, here's my chance to sort of pick his brain a bit. And it was great. It was a great clinic again.
Yeah. So did you find something different the second time round, or is it cement?
I sort of got a little bit of a clearer picture of how he approaches certain lines, and he's like Dave said, he's angular yet very melodic at the same time, and so now being able to sit up a little bit closer to this clinic, I could sort of see how his hands were working, how his his picking hand and the legato patterns and the sequences that he was using. So now I just go home and I woodshed now for the for the next month, trying to put into practice some of these things.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's awesome being so close to such a great player and to see
Yeah.
right up front what's going on there.
It is, and I think one of the things that I got out of it was, the focus on phrasing. It's not just speed for the sake of speed. There's specific focus on time subdivision, and I think that's something I'm going to sort of incorporate into my practice. I'm doing it now, but definitely trying to sort of master that rather than speed for speed's sake. But like you said, finding that pocket and keeping those lines evenly distributed across the time. So so I think I've got a long way to go, but I really love the way he plays, and I think or maybe he doesn't, but like he was talking about Brett sort of being understated. I think he is too. I don't think he understands sort of his contribution as a player to guitarists, up and coming guitarists. I think he's a fabulous player and just so musical. So there's a lot to be gained from him.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Thanks, Brandon. That's brilliant,
Mate, my pleasure.
I'm here with Warren. We've got a mutual friend, Warren Scott, who's a great drummer.
Absolutely. Don't tell him that though.
So how do you know Warren?
We actually attend the same church, and we've also done some recording together and played together, and
excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So is that Guy Mayer-Bates?
Yes, it certainly is.
There's heaps of good musicians out there.
There are indeed, and so that's how I come to met Warren, and come to get to know him, and played out with him and that sort of thing. Done an album together, and done a few things together.
That's great. And how did you enjoy the clinics now?
Oh, it was fantastic. I know I met Dolce many moons ago in another lifetime.
Okay.
But no, it was just great to be able to sort of, I guess, get some techniques on how to expand getting out of sort of a rut, and some of those legato phrasing techniques, and just sort of extending the I guess the theory side to make it a little bit more simpler for an average show, rather than it being sort of, which is where I get lost in, is oh my god, what am I doing now? And trying to remember the technicalities of it, rather than just going, oh wait a minute, that actually sounds pretty good, I'm happy with that, and move on from there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love that too. I thought, I could do that. I could go home and work on that.
Yeah, that's it. That was it. Even the triad phrasing I was talking about, and the creating the motifs, I hadn't actually... It's something that I do naturally as my playing, but I didn't actually sort of realise I was doing it until he was talking about, this is what anchors are playing, and sort of lifts it up a little bit and gives you something to grab onto. Those concepts is what I sort of, those everyday Joe type things are like fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, and he's a nice guy. So
he's a great bloke.
He's a great bloke.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you, Warren.
No, thanks, Matt. Cheers,
Great.
mate.
Good to meet you.
Likewise. Thanks,
and,
mate. Yeah, see you around.
Might see you around with Warren sometime.
Oh, you definitely will.
I'm here with David
Bojorquez,
who, how long have you known Michael Dolce for?
Well, I met Michael Dolce like 2 years ago. This is actually my very third time that I come to see his masterclass. Good stuff, really, really good stuff, and I just love to come and see him, because no matter how many times you get to come, you will find out that there's something that you didn't see last time, and there's something to take home. Yes, that's cool. Really, really cool, and such a cool guy. Like, really, really, really cool guy. Fantastic player, but the most important thing for me that he's such a cool guy. You cannot be a good player if you cannot be a good human being, if you know what I mean.
Cool. So, are there a couple of things in his playing that influenced you, or that you've picked up and run with?
Well, I haven't played for quite a bit, and him and I have the same kind of thing going on. He's heavily influenced by Brett Gassen, and Brett Gassen is my number one, along with Hawthorne as well. Yeah. And it's just I like his percussive approach to the instrument, which is completely different to mine, and that's cool. That's really cool. There's some things that he does that I find really, really interesting. I strive not to try and emulate or take it from player A or player B, because you know, we're in this field out there, and I'm just trying to find my own voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, nice. And you bought your own guitar that you've built. Tell me about that guitar.
Yeah, thank you so much. Look, I make my own guitars, right? I make my own guitars. I am developing a line of headless instruments, just made out of. It's just made out of necessity, you know, because I have some back issues. My guitar is very small. There's a lot of features in my instrument that I cannot find in commercial guitars. You know, that's basically what I do. I try to find stuff that's missing on commercially available guitars and adapt those things to my own thing, because, you know, the guitar is just a tool, right? It has to work. It has to work the way you need it to work for you. And if it doesn't work, then we have a problem, you know. We have a problem.
Yeah, cool. So, like I said, it's a headless, got a smallish body.
Yeah, it's a headless guitar. It's very, very small, ergonomic body. It's only 2.7 kilos, which is very, very light. Again, it accommodates to me very, very nicely because of my back issues and stuff. And one of my theories behind guitar making and guitar playing, you know, guitar playing, we all love to play guitar, and we want to play guitar for hours and hours and hours straight, you know. Because of that, we need instruments, tools that allow us to do that, you know, to achieve that. I mean, for example, if you play one of these really old designs, like for example a Les Paul, right? Heavy guitars on your back, and I mean, unless you're a bodybuilder, you cannot stand up for 3 hours with a Les Paul on your back doing like a 3-hour gig, because I mean you're gonna cut yourself, you know. And yeah, with my designs, and I'm striving for lightweight tools, guitars that are easy to play and keeps you playing longer. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to achieve.
Fantastic. And you've just taken your first order to build one?
Yeah, I actually was visited by a friend on Friday, and he placed the very first one order. Yeah, I'm very, very happy about it.
All right, I'm here with Brendan, who is this your second Michael Dolce?
Yes, second class.
Class, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And what have you gotten out of the two classes?
I guess just a different idea of the fretboard and knowledge of the fretboard. Michael's legato technique, his clean sound, like such a beautiful clean sound. His sense of melody, which we tend to forget about shredders and the rock guys. Yeah. And just the way he simplifies things, pick little simple arpeggios and work on ideas. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Very cool. And what sort of stuff are you into besides all?
Oh, lots of different. I've followed guitar for a long time now. I was all into the 80s rock, the Van Halen and stuff like that for years. A lot of Australian guitar, Tommy Emmanuel. Mm-hmm. Later time, I got into Australian guitarists like Peter Northcote, Michael Dolce, of course. Yeah. Jim Kelly, I've been to his masterclass, which was fantastic. Cool. Yeah. As far as overseas players, there's Richie Kotzen and players like that. All the favourites, you know, everyone knows. Yeah.
Awesome. And we were talking earlier, you were saying you were going down to Melbourne for the Melbourne Guitar Show.
That's right, yeah, escaping for the weekend and get to check out all the instruments and the gear, and which is something I don't get to do usually, so it'll be really good, and check out some great players, of course. That's the main idea. So
cool.
Such a good event.
Awesome.
Hopefully it can come to Sydney.
Yeah, there's talk, so I'm with you. I hope it gets up here too.
That's right.
Yeah, it could be awesome. Yeah, cool. And that's your telly still sitting on the chair there. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Is that
the old Roadborne series? Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Sounded great tonight in the jam, and that was really cool.
Yeah, it's a different style of guitar for me. Again, trying to do different things, getting away from the... Not just playing rock stuff and trying different things, cleaning up the sound and and trying to learn the instrument, basically. So, continuing to do so.
Awesome,
after a fair few years at it.
Oh, mate, like all of us, I reckon.
We never stop learning,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's the beauty when you talk to a great player like Michael tonight. They all say the same thing like that. They continue to learn as well, and to have the knowledge shared, it's great.
Yeah, cool, awesome, mate. Very good, very nice to meet you. And
likewise,
might see another thing like this or the Sydney Guitar Show.
Yes,
that comes to
yes, please.
Awesome,
be fantastic.
Thanks, Brendan.
Good on you, mate. Thank you.
It was so great catching up with those guys. To meet those guys, just cool dudes, just into guitar playing and wanting to stretch it out. And you know what? I'm totally on board with what they were saying. I was totally in the same boat. I was soaking it up, man, as Michael was playing through the class and getting us to jam along. And it's cool. It's one thing to learn songs and learn parts. That's great. It's another thing to work on your sounds. Great, man. That's cool. But to really work on your technique and really developing your voice is another thing altogether. And I'm just really inspired to jump into that, as were the rest of my fellow clinic attenders. So good. All right, so as promised, here is my discussion now with Charles Cilia and Michael Dolce. All right, so I'm here with Charles Cilia and Michael Dolce, and the workshop's just cleared out. It's been a great night. We've taught some of the players, as you've heard already, and great to have these guys. Charles, thanks. You've been such a generous host tonight. There've been people hanging around half the night.
It's always good to have new people come in with Michael, and it's always great to have Michael at the workshop. So, it's not really that much of a hassle.
Cool. So, how long have you guys been working together for?
I think 1997.
Sounds about right.
Was the first year, back when Michael had a mullet.
Yeah. I wouldn't talk.
1997, I think Michael came through my workshop. He was my second ever customer. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Michael. I know that guitar. It's the kind of had a Music Man kind of vibe.
Michael originally brought me a Music Man. Was it a Luke at the model?
Luke.
And said, I like this vibe, but I hate the guitar. What can you do? Can you make it sound? I was like, yeah, okay, I'll have a go. And Michael's my second customer. So
wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. And was he's one of your signature artists?
Sure is. Yeah.
Great. And we spoke to Michael in our first 2 episodes actually of the podcast, but is there anything about his guitar you'd want to tell us about?
Yeah, there's a lot of really unique things. I think, I guess the way that I build guitars is not like everyone else. It's not a big company here, and it's not about just finding someone and giving them a guitar. The reason why I love having Michael on the roster is because I believe in Michael, and Michael's been with me, so he's part of the family here. So I think the relationship's been great because he's been able to show me lots of things over 20 years, and hopefully I've been able to show him some things. And whenever I come up with something and I think it's going to work for him, I'll always tell him. And certainly the guitar, the Harlequin model that he's using, was something that I was doing a lot of experimentation in the early 2000s, and when I came up with the feel and how organic and responsive that guitar was, I instantly thought of Michael, and I called him up and made him come over and try it out.
Yeah, that was crazy. And I think I might have mentioned it in our interview about that time when he called me up to go and pick it up. Oh, not pick it up, just try it. Yeah. And I wasn't into that shape, the traditional sort of shape. I didn't like that, because I was more of a trem guy or so basically when I tried it out, because I was so into like flatter radius boards and stuff like this, and this got more of a 9.5-inch sort of radius to it. So straight away it didn't turn me off, because I was like, nah, I want to be able to do the things on it.
Yeah, I think I forced you to take it.
Yeah, you did. You did.
I think because the way Michael plays, it's so touch. He's got an incredible touch, and you really want to hear all those subtleties in his playing. And I think when I heard him play that guitar, I was like, dude, this is for you. And I don't even think you believed it, but I think I made you take it home.
Well, you did, and then I took it home that day. And as soon as I got it home and I plugged it through my rig, I was like, wow, okay, this is crazy, because I don't really have to use that much gain, and everything's just popping. It sounds so percussive, and I was getting excited because It almost, and I'm not even kidding you when I say I had the guitar for the first day I got it, I actually wrote a song on it, which was one of the songs that appeared on my album, Frankie Boy, and I'd written about 2 minutes of the song and then extended it once I got the album going. But from that point when I got it, I'm not even kidding, my playing changed to suit the guitar because it was so responsive. I didn't have to do as much as I was doing previously on my other guitars, which was weird. So my playing moulded to the guitar, and that's what it is. And I just fell in love with it. And I thought, you know what? No one's playing these style guitars and doing that sort of thing. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are doing it. You know, the Mike Stearns and Brett Garson had a Telly style ESP there for a bit. Mm-hmm. But this has got something like this guitar. Like I said, the organic contents of the guitar. It speaks. You know, when you play, it's really percussive. You would have heard it tonight. Yeah, absolutely. You know, on one of the guitars there. Crazy good. And my playing moulded to the guitar. It was weird. It should be the other way around, really. But I made myself play to the guitar, which is, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I see it a little bit differently. Yeah. I think the playing is generally within you, but if I can make a guitar that allows you to come out, then I think normal traditional instruments and the way they're made and how they respond, it actually suppresses your playing. So I think it was always in you, Michael. It's just was suppressed under the other gear.
I felt like I had to not work harder on any other guitars. I mean, because during my playing sort of journey, I've had Ibanez's, Strats and all those type of things, but I always felt like I never wanted to play anything. I mean, the Ibanez thing was my thing, so that's where it was for me, because you could play that style, on those guitars. Yeah. But I didn't realise how hard I was actually working on those guitars and it's weird. It might sound cliche, but they're really easy guitars to play, and they sing, and it's. Especially on the Harlequin, like they've got. That's why people, even because we've got, even the pickups, we've custom wound them for to bring out the timbers and the punchiness of the guitar, basically. And I think the combination between the two is what attracted me to the sound, because you don't hear anything and they've just got a fat sound to them, but it's still keeping that characteristic of the top end punch, but nice, it's like a nice roll off.
Yeah,
sonically.
I think
it's hard to explain to you.
With the pickups, I like to, I really like to hear all the organicness of the wood and all the subtleties of your playing. When you play your electric guitar not plugged in, it's very organic and it's really touch responsive, and then you plug it into an amp and it changes. Sure. I think with the way we head with pickups is just trying to keep that same feel as when it's not plugged in, but you're still coming through the amp.
It's weird because it almost sounds like a microphone to me.
Yeah, that's all. That's how I see it. Is a pickup should just be like a great microphone. It shouldn't colour. Like if we spend all the time building the guitar and making that sound great, we don't want a crappy microphone to change the characteristics of the guitar.
So that's why they go hand in hand, mate.
Yeah, awesome. And you're winding all those pickups here in.
We are. Yeah, we sort of started. That's probably. Started winding pickups maybe 10 years ago, because I think there was some companies getting close but still not. I would build guitars and generally put pickups in, and I would think that it could sound better, or it sounded better unplugged than, it didn't sound the same. So yeah, we really went on that journey about 10 years ago to make all our own pickups, and they're not really copies of anything, they're just what I hear, and they just allow the guitar to breathe and really allow the player to get their own tone of their hands coming through rather than sounding compressed and squashed.
Cool. Yeah. So Michael's guitar, it's got like the classic T-style pickup configuration.
Yep. Well, on one of his is that your main guitar now, the classic T, or are you using the one with the humbucker now?
Both.
So, Michael's. When you say Michael's guitar, how many guitars are you up to now? About 12.
No, about 14 actually.
Michael has a great way of attaining guitars. Sometimes I've probably built myself a guitar 2 or 3 times over the last 10 years, and Michael borrows it and then calls me and says, "I'm going to buy this one."
Yeah. It's always
stuck with no guitar.
I've always had his firsts. His firstborn. I've always taken them. It's always been the case.
Yeah.
But
Cool. But with the sorry, just to get back. So with the MD Harlequin, that's like the 2 single coils.
Yes.
So you're doing something cool with the noise cancelling.
Yeah. So we've teamed up with Illich from Illich Electronics in the US, and he has a noise cancelling coil that we've been using for probably 12 years, and he's been custom making that for us for about the last 4 or 5 years now. So just tweaking it just to suit our pickups and our guitars exactly, and it's a coil that it's not really a dummy coil. It's a coil that takes a 60 cycle hum away without changing the tone or the feel of your single coil. It's like the holy grail of what you want from a single coil, but I think people don't believe that it exists, so they don't even bother trying it, but it is that good.
Yeah, so when you say holy grail, like you want all the sparkle.
Yep. Everything about it, just not the 60 cycle hum.
Just not the noise, yeah absolutely. Cool. So tonight you're playing... Yeah, it had a humbucker in a different kind of flavour.
Yeah, which is a new addition to the family. Another one, and yeah, and actually the radius is slightly bit different.
A little bit flatter.
We went a bit flatter.
Yeah,
12-inch radius on it.
Rosewood board.
Yeah, rosewood board, and the humbucker. You know, one of the custom wound humbuckers. Beautiful. Can't go wrong.
Nice.
Still gives that spank, percussive texture that I love.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And you're running a new amp?
Running a new amp.
Well, actually, you spoke about this a little bit in our first podcast.
Yep.
Man, so good to hear it in the flesh. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's an incredible amp. DCA, diamond cut amps. Friend of mine, Rich Sanford, as I mentioned in our interview, we've basically got them ready to go now. Just waiting for the head shells to roll in, and we'll be in production. And it's a great head. Like, can't complain. You know?
Cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We'll keep looking out for that now.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks,
it sounded fantastic tonight.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, you guys are heading down to Melbourne for the Melbourne Guitar Show this weekend.
Yeah, we sure are. It should be a great show. It was a great turnout last year. I think it's something that the Australian guitar community needs. You know, we don't really have really too many things for, you know, big shows like this, and last year was fantastic. I think they had 6,000 people over 2 days, and I think just exhibitor attendance is up by about 60% this year. So, you know, if attendance is up like that, that'll be great. And yeah, hopefully, Rob, if you're listening, you can bring it to Sydney soon as well.
Yeah, Rob.
Good to know.
We spoke to Rob a little while ago. We had Rob on talking about the show. Yeah. And he hinted Sydney might be a thing.
He's a great guy. You're a great guy, but you'll be a better guy if you bring it to Sydney.
For sure. All right. That was my interview with Charles and Michael from last year. Now 2017, May. Back to the future. There is the Sydney Drum Show coming up soon, which looks to be really great. But no Sydney Guitar Show as we speak. But who knows? Hopefully that'll be coming along soon. The Melbourne Guitar Show is on again in August 2017, and we'll be covering that when it comes out. Should be a fantastic guitar festival. All right, thank you for joining me on the Guitar Speak podcast. Remember, you can subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher. You can connect with us on Facebook or Instagram. And you can check out all of our past episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, or guitarspeakpodcast.libsyn.com. And we've got plenty of new interviews coming. Just a little bit of a sneak peek. We spoke to Phil Buckle, the guy behind Southern Suns and a lot of the huge John Farnham hits of the 90s. We spoke to our friend Gretchen Menn, who's got an incredible new album. Spoke to Keith Wyatt, just an incredible guitar teacher and player. Was working at GIT for many, many years, and now does an internet blues guitar course and tours the world with the great band The Blasters. And we spoke to Dana Rain, really great blues rock guitarist from the States as well. So lots of great new interviews coming. A couple of things in the pipeline I can't tell you about yet, but always lots of good things coming up. So hey, thanks for supporting us this last year or so, and we look forward to speaking to you again next time on the Guitar Speak podcast. My name's Matt Wakeling. We'll catch you next time. Bye now.